This video is how to set up office hours for virtual face-to-face meetings through Google Meets, which is the video conferencing arm of Google Hangouts using G Suite apps, primarily Calendar. So what we're going to do today is talk about how, when we're faced as a teacher with distance learning, we can set up and create some sort of online recurring times that students know they can get a hold of me for face-to-face meetings through their Chromebooks. So what we're going to do is use Google Calendar and Google Meets for this. So the first thing I do is open up a browser, open up our app launcher, and I'm going to find Calendar. And yours might not be in the same spot. You might have to scroll down in your app launcher to find it. And what we're going to do is, and if you want to move it somewhere else, you can hold down on your mouse, move it, and slide it to where you would like. Open up Calendar, and we're going to see this is my calendar. Now, my calendars, I've got lots of calendars available that are set up when I create Google Classrooms, get a calendar with each of my Google Classrooms. The After School Robotics Club has a calendar, lots of different calendars. What Unfortunately, when I create an event, I can only assign that event to one calendar. So if I create an event and my office hours are from 8 to 8:30, I could assign it to just my digital citizenship period 7. Then if my advisory class wanted office hours, which would be Egner's Eggs, I don't want to create another event from 8 to 8:30 because that would be two Google Meets that I would have to be in. So I'd either have to say, okay, only my citizenship class can meet between 8 and 8:30, and then 8:30 to 9 would be Egner's Eggs. The decision that I've made is I'd like to just make office hours where I'm available, where I'm going to be in a Google Meet and students can pop in and out and ask questions regardless of what class period they're in, because I'm cognizant that students might be working on things at different times. Just because they're in my seventh period class, they might need to get all their work done in the morning or do their seventh period stuff beforehand. Or, like in my case, most of my students would probably want to do my stuff first because it's the most engaging and it's the best lesson that they've got. And so they really want to get after it and just want to get in and talk with me whenever. So what we're going to do is set up a calendar that I'm going to invite all my students to. Now, this is going to be a little bit more of a challenge because I'm going to have to add all of my students for each of my classes in to share this calendar with, but I think it's going to fit for me. So that's the way I'm sharing it with you guys. So first thing I'm going to do is go down to other calendars, and I'm going to hit the plus key because I'm going to create a new calendar. And what I want to do is I'm going to call this calendar Mr. Egner Office Hours. And you can call your calendar whatever you want. And this is going to be when I will be available for online face-to-face meetings with students. Okay. Set up by default, it's the time zone that you are in, so we should not have to change anything there. So we're going to create our calendar. Once we've created our calendar, the calendar has been created. What I'm going to do is refresh my browser now. And I'm going to come over now, and under my calendars, I'm going to see that I have Mr. Egner office hours, and I want to see the settings for that calendar. Now, the eyeball, I can hide that from my calendar list if I don't want it to show up my calendar. But what I want to do is I'm going to click on it because we're going to adjust some additional settings. So now when we've got this on my additional settings, I don't want to make this a public calendar because I don't want everybody to see this. I'm going to make this available for Albert Lea School District because it's something that we've got here. But where I'm going to go is I'm going to share this with specific people. Now, this is where it's going to get time consuming for me, but I think it's going to be better down the road. What I'm going to do is add students. Now, obviously for this video, because it's going out and it's going to be public on the web, I'm not going to add any of my students to show you this, but I'm going to add a couple of people. So I'm going to add our principal, Mr. Dibble, and our Dean of Instruction, Miss Kennis. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to add Mr. Dibble, and then I'm going to add Miss Kennis as well. And so those are going to be the two people that we've got here. Now, when you've got your permissions, by default, they are allowed to see all event details. You really want to make sure, especially when you're sharing with the students, that you don't give them the ability to make changes and manage sharing. You don't want them to make changes to the events. I don't want them to see just the free and busy and hide the details because this calendar is for them. So I want to leave it to see all event details. It's important, though, that when you create a calendar like this, that you don't accidentally put something on there that you don't want the students to know. Maybe I have got a doctor's appointment to get hair plugs put in, and I put it on the wrong calendar, and I show students all the events. Then they might know that when I come back next year for school, that I've got this beautiful long flowing hair, and I try to tell them it's natural, and they're like, no, we saw your calendar invite where you went for plugs. So you want to make sure that if you're leaving the event details, that you just don't put a calendar event on that you don't want them to see. So when I hit the send button, this will actually send an invite to all of those people and share the calendar with those specific people. So next thing that we've got for email notifications for events, what we can do is set up, and I can add different email or notifications. So if an event goes on this calendar, I can set it up so that the kids will all get, if they're on their Chromebook, a notification will pop up on their Chromebook. An email would send them an email. So maybe I would want to send them an email an hour before. And so I could say, okay, we're going to send a notification 1 hour before for event notifications. And so then other notifications, if there's a new event, I'm going to put on here, if there's a new event, they're going to get the notification anyhow through the reminders. But the ones that I want to give them are the ones that are going to be for, if I need to change an event, I want to get an email. If I'm going to cancel an event, something happens, I want to get an email from there. Not necessarily worried about a event response or daily agenda, so that we could get that stuff for them. Once I get done with this, I've got everything set up for my calendar. I can get out of the settings. This will take me back to my calendars. If you happen to jump out of it and you needed to see the settings for your calendars, I've got my Mr. Egner's office, the 3 bars that expand out. I can get this, and I can do settings and sharing, get right back into it. The other thing that you can do with your calendars, with any of your calendars, you can choose colors for it. Now, the color coding is just for you on your calendar. All of my calendar invites, the students, they can choose their own colors. So just because I think that meetings with me should be grape does not mean that meetings with me should be grape on their calendar. They might think that meetings with me should be red. So now I'm going to create an event, go in to create an event. I'm going to add a title, and I'm going to call this Mr. Egner Office Hours. So here's Mr. Egner Office Hours. We want to get away from the quick ad for an appointment, and we're going to go to more options. And so this is where we're going to get more options for our event. When we go to more options, this is where we open up and see the ability to get into the recurring or the repeating events. So my event is going to start at 3:30 to 4. So my office hours are going to be on Thursdays, 3:30 to 4. I'm going to do the repeat. We want to stay away from the daily, all of these here. But what I want to do is I want to go to custom. So if I go daily, so here's what happens. If I set up as daily and I save this event, then I'm going to create an event that's going to recur every day from 3:30 to 4. And I don't have an end time on it. So it's just going to, my calendar is going to have every day 3:30 to 4. It's going to be Mr. Egner office hours, right? At some point the school year is going to end, and I don't want to keep meeting with the students. So I want to make sure that I put an end time on this. So that's why we're going to go down to the custom. When we get to our custom occurrence, we're going to say, when do we want it to repeat? Now, this is where you have to decide, what are your office hours? Are your office hours going to repeat daily? Is it going to repeat once a week? Is it going to repeat once a month? So I'm going to say my office hours are going to be every week. And on my office hours are going to be, my office hours are going to be on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Thursday. So those are going to be my office hours. So now we have a couple of options. By default, it's never going to end. Or we can there's 2 options. We have after so many occurrences. Now, here's where our dilemma comes in. So, like, just say, maybe I wanted to repeat this, but I'm thinking I want to do it for 2 weeks. Here's what happens is, so if I do after 2 occurrences, so this is, you're going to follow me here. So Thursday, which would be today, would be our first occurrence. Our next occurrence would be the Monday of next week. But that would be 2 occurrences. I'll never see the Wednesday appointment on here. So if you're going to do occurrences, you have to be very careful to make sure okay, if I'm meeting on a Tuesday and Thursday for 8 weeks, that's going to be 16 occurrences. An easier way to do this would be to end it on a specific day. right? And so for us, we know that our school year, should we happen to go for distance learning all the way out to the end of the school year, that would go out for us until May 22nd. So what I could do is go in and say, okay, I'm gonna end this at, or May 21st is it would be our end day for it. So if I go here May 21st, that would be the last day of school for us. So if I end it on May 21st, I'm going to repeat every week. And this is going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and it's going to end May 21st. What I'm going to do, just for the sake of this, for this event, is I'm going to end this. This is this week. I'm going to end this March 27th. So I'm going to end this March 27th just to show you this event. Next thing that we want to do is make sure that we skip the adding a location. Location is really helpful if you're meeting somewhere like a coffee shop or McDonald's or something like that. You can put the address in there and use Google Maps to reference it. We're going to add Hangouts Meet, and this is where we're going to generate our Google Meets code. I can set up, I want to get a notification, and I can add as many notifications as I want to this. So maybe I want to get a notification 10 days before, then I want to get a notification 10 minutes before, then I want to get a notification 1 week before. I can also say I want to get an email for this one, a pop-up notification for this one, and an email for this one. Here's where our default calendar is your personal calendar. What we want to do now is drop down and choose Mr. Egner's office hours and make sure we put it on that calendar. I can add an additional description in here. Mr. Egner will be available online through Google Meet to answer questions. And so then what I'm going to do here, I also want to change this. I don't want other kids to invite other kids maybe that aren't in my class. I don't want them to see the guest list to see who all's there. And I definitely don't want them to be able to modify the event. So I'm just going to take all of that information off of there. I'm going to save my event. And so now you'll see I've got Mr. Egner's office hours. If I click on it for today's date, I've got my Google Hangout Meet, which has been here. Then if I go to my calendar and I'm going to go out, let's see here, I'm going to go to, let's change this. I'm going to go to the week and we'll go, here's Mr. Egner's office hours. I'm going to go to next week. Then you have Mr. Egner's office hours, Mr. Egner's office hours. What you'll notice is this ends KNM. This day ends KNM. So I have got a recurring Google Meet with the same meeting code on all of these days. And if I've shared this calendar with everybody, all of the students, all of my students will have this calendar invite with my office hours as well. And the only thing that I would need to do is go to the Hangouts Meet, get ready for my event. When I get ready, I join my conference. I make sure that I've got everything in here. Good etiquette is that our microphone would be muted when we're in here so that they don't hear us. And I could be in my Google conference, and then the next week I've got it and go on, and my kids know how to get a hold of me for an online face-to-face meeting. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.